Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Shevaughn here. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a sexual abuse event that I experienced that controlled my life for far too long. I have been redeemed to redeem, that's what I believe. And I have been empowered to empower. And so just to know that your past does not define you, it only refines you. Stay tuned. This story is going to be done through a series of videos. If you have any friends or know anyone who has been sexually abused, this series is for them, so go ahead, like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share it with that friend. At the age of 4, while attending basic school, I was sexually abused. Now, as soon as some persons hear the term sexually abused, they think of the male sexual organ entering the female sexual organ, but there are other variations of this term. Now, the basic school I used to attend, and for those that don't know me, don't try to figure out which basic school, I did got 3. Yeah. So, the basic school I used to attend, it had some residential dwellings next to it. So, there were persons that lived there. And there were some older children in high school who lived in those houses, and they would frequent the classroom because, you know, they were friendly with the teachers. And I remember I was new to this basic school because I had moved for whatever reason. And there were some young men and one female who would frequent the room to help the teacher with the kids. I noticed that some of the children were not so fond of them, you know, they would pull themselves away from them, but, you know, me knew, so me I observe, for a little time, they may feel like me a bigger man, you see me? So, those were the children that actually committed this terrible act. I was not raped with a penis. I was raped with fingers, markers, pencils, pens, small objects. The thing about it is, it didn't break my hymen. I didn't bleed because at the time my mother would still be giving me a shower, so she would have noticed if there was blood in my underwear. But that didn't happen, so she didn't know. I was scared to tell her. I never told her until 4 years ago, 2016, yes. And this experience really took a toll on my psyche, my mental capacity, my self-esteem, and I'm going to be just taking you along the journey of my life for you to see how it impacted me and how I got over it. Because believe it or not, a very large percentage of ladies, girls, young women have been abused in similar way or straight out vaginal penetration by family members, friends, strangers. And they're too scared to talk about it, or they feel as if it's their fault. And it's really not your fault. And so let's get a little deeper into how this tore my self-concept apart for majority of my life. And yes, majority, because like I said, I've only been able to openly speak about this since 2016, which was just 4 years ago. But I have been, like I said in my introduction, empowered to empower. And so that's what I want to do. So let's start with growing up, you know, the years that came after that abuse. I didn't stay at that basic school for very long. I think maybe a year or less. I moved again. I need to interview my mother, you know. I'm actually tell her why I made it move. I think I know why, but anyway. I moved from that basic school. I moved on in life, you know, did well at school, etc., etc. But I had this genuine fear of men and this genuine fear of needles. Anything entering my body, so to get an injection is always traumatic for me. Even to this day, I hate injections. Not because I can't bear the pain, but it does something to your mind. And when you have these experiences, it affects different people in different ways. And so don't you ever try to belittle anyone's experience and tell them, oh, somebody else got you worse than what you got you. Yes, in reality, that's true. Someone else might have gone through worse than I did. You know, someone might have been abused by 4 men at the same time. Someone might have been abused more times than I was. It wasn't a one-time event for me, but it didn't last for months. You know, some people have gone through that. But you shouldn't use that to tell me that my experience is any less, because guess what? What I've been through is the worst that I have experienced. So I can only relate to that. So if you're trying to encourage somebody that has been through these things, don't let that be the first thing or the last thing or anything at all that you draw for. It's always good to pray before you encourage people or counsel, quote unquote, mentor people, because a lot of times you can say things that actually don't help, make the situation worse. So don't just jump to it, and you want to help, but pray about it first. Pray about it first. So went on to primary school, when I say I had low self-esteem, I mean no self-esteem. Did not exist. I didn't think I was beautiful. I didn't think I was good enough for anything. Any little issue that my parents would go through at home, or any little thing, if my parents ever have enough money for something, I'd blame myself. I found a way to blame myself for everything that happened in the world. Even World War, what happened before me born and them, something there, I would find a way to blame myself for everything, because in my mind, I must not have been a good enough person for this to happen to me at such a tender age. My innocence was stolen from me. It was robbed. And I was exposed to sexual pleasure, sexual feelings, sexual emotions too young. Too young. And it does a lot of things to your mind. I remember in primary school, as soon as there's a boy that would say, I like you, or you're cute, or you look nice, I would block him like the Rock of Gibraltar. Strong. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to him. It was just a fear of it happening again. And in the same breath, I didn't think I was nice enough for someone to like me. And so it went right on to high school. Any young man that would say, I like you, he wouldn't have a chance at all. At all. And I never had my first boyfriend until I was 18 in university. That was my first boyfriend. It lasted for like 2 years. And then it ended. But it goes to show that I just really wasn't interested. And the only reason why I trusted this person enough was because we were of the same faith. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. You know, I'm getting older, etc., etc. But I didn't have any self-esteem. It was so bad that I thought everything about me was wrong and imperfect. For those of you who know me, or don't know me, I have knock-knee. Hello, my knock-knee is cute. I don't know about you. I don't know how much people in a wheelchair would I take one of my knock-knee for up on right now. I'm on prosthetic leg. You know how much people have perfectly straight legs or bow legs but cannot walk, and would I take me to not need them? Listen to me, ladies. Don't let anybody body shame you. I'm the best thing right now. Nobody can tell me otherwise. But it was never like this before. Nothing about me was good. Absolutely nothing. In my eyes, nothing was good. Like, I just always found a fault. My forehead too big, my ears too big, my nose too little, my nose too big, my finger too long. I found a fault, a problem with everything about my body. And it really destroyed me for a lot of years. Too long. It destroyed me for too long. And I allowed it because, you know, in my mind, I just wasn't good enough because this thing happened to me. I never told it to anyone. And so for all those years, it just ate me alive. Literally, it ate me alive. I have accomplished a number of things in my life. It's not about bragging, but it's to show you how much I wasn't living in the moment. In high school, I was always on the honor roll. I always got awards for this subject, for that subject, medal for this, Girl of the Year award. And I have all these accolades, and whenever it was prize giving and I was on the stage receiving these things, it was like I was standing over there watching myself, or watching the shell of myself receive those awards, and I just never really enjoyed it. And people say, oh, congratulations, and this and that. I was head girl at high school. And even looking at it, I never felt proud of myself with all of those things. I didn't. I did well in CXC, I did well in CSEC. I was one of two persons that got A or 1 in law in Cape. And even that never mean nothing to me because in my mind, it's just another thing and I'm just not good enough. I went to Brazil to represent Jamaica in 2012 and I placed 3rd in this competition. You compete via country. So I represented Jamaica, went up against Brazil, Colombia, etc. And I really placed 2nd, but then give me 3rd, but that's for our next story time. And when I came back, I received the Prime Minister Youth Award for International Excellence and went to the ceremony, got the award from the most honorable Portia Simpson Miller. And still, I mean, the event ended and everybody's taking pictures and I have this nice marble award and people are taking pictures and everybody want to take picture and congrats and Garvey Hall roll out in a one bus. Come support me. I lived on Garvey Hall at UTEC. And I just wasn't there. Like, it was so sad. Looking back at it, afterwards, I was like, I'm not crying, guys. It was just so sad. I could not enjoy any of these things. Like, I've been so many places and, you know, I'm not taking any photos because I'm not photo worthy. I don't know. I really don't know how to explain it, really. But I just did not love myself. No self-esteem. My self-esteem, the under Satan, foot bottom. You don't know one gutter. And it was to the point where, if I can sew, right? Perfect example. And this has happened. I can sew. And I'll be buttoning a top to go somewhere. And one of the buttons falls off. No, I can't sew. I can't easily string one needle. Sew it on back. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact that that button fell off, it would just send me into anxiety. And me just get frantic. And the world done. Can I button drop off my shirt? That's how serious things were to me. If I'm using a pen and the pen falls during an exam, I just have to take up the pen. It doesn't even have to be during an exam. But every little thing that would happen that would be unfortunate or unwanted, it would just feel like it's the end of the world for me. That's how bad it was. Things that were easily fixed, I didn't view them that way. And that's how much it took control of my psyche, of my self-concept, how I thought and felt about myself. It was horrible. You know what made it worse during high school? The culprits were still in the community. So I would see them in high school, see them in the town, see them wherever. And it would just hurt so much that I literally wanted to kill these people. Whenever I saw them together or apart, I would just wish that I had a knife and just walk up to them and just take a life. Because in my mind, they took mine. I was a walking dead. I mean, I covered it so well because no one knew that I was going through this severe state of not living in myself, severe state of depression. Nobody knew. I was suicidal, but I'll go into that in the next series. But it was a lot. It was a whole lot. And I know that there are a lot of young ladies. I have encountered some since sharing the story at university in the last couple of years. I have shared it. And you'd be surprised to know how many ladies have gone through this, are scared to talk about it. Nobody knows. And they just blame themselves. I blamed myself for everything. They blame themselves. People see them and people say, oh, she not talk to people. Really and truly, she's probably afraid to talk to people because of what she's gone through. It happens. So the next time you think of judging someone because you don't understand their weird or their off reaction to things, don't judge them. Pray about it. Pray for them and just leave it there. And if the Lord leads you to go and speak with them, then you do that. Pray for yourself and do that, because there's something called redemptive suffering. And what a lot of people don't understand is that redemptive suffering means you go through something to help someone else. When Jesus died on the cross, he was at no fault. No, there was no fault in him. But he did it for us. He gave his life so that we could have love and experience life. And it's the same thing with a lot of us. We go through things in our past and we say, God, why me? But you're going to come upon some people in the next 5, 6, 10 years that have gone through the same thing and don't have a clue how they're going to get over it, how they're going to live with it. And what better person to encourage them and to mentor them through it than someone who's been through it themselves? Anybody can get up and say them are going to encourage rape victims. But if you don't know what it's like, how are you going to do that exactly? Unless God decides to just pick you up as a temple and use you and say, go for it and do this thing. You really won't know exactly what to say to the person. You can use word of knowledge, you know, the obvious things, do this, do that. But you see, when you've been through it and the person can look at you and say, wow, she experienced it and look where she is now. That means me have like a hope. Yeah, redemptive suffering. And so I'm going to close out this video because if I continue, I'll talk for hours. But share this series with a friend. There's a lot more coming. And I'm doing this because I want to help empower and redeem someone else, because I have been empowered to empower and redeemed to redeem. Remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with a rape victim. It gets better.